Hello and welcome to the View from the IMF video series. I'm here with Heng Swee Keat, the Finance Minister of Singapore. Mr. Heng, I wanted to ask you first around the surplus that was recorded last year of 9.6 billion.
Yes.
What was the reason for this, and do you anticipate there being a surplus again this year?
Well, the surplus is due to one-off factors, a number of one-off factors. One is that we had a big contribution from one of our statutory board, and the other is that the property market was buoyant and we collected a lot more stamp duty of almost $2 billion. Now, those are not structural factors, and we do not expect this to be repeated year after year. So in our budget planning, we plan on a long-term basis, and when we look at our long-term needs, the needs will be increasing, particularly with an aging population, and we are planning for what we need to do for our healthcare, and in particular to take better care of our seniors.
Singapore has some really ambitious infrastructure projects planned for the future. How are you planning to finance those?
Well, indeed, I think we have many more years of building the infrastructure for Singapore. We are building the Changi East Airport, and that will be a fairly major project. We are building our underground system, our mass rapid transit system. We are building new housing estates, as well as new economic parks, like our Punggol Digital District. And all this will require fairly substantial investments in the coming years. And we are planning a series of different ways of funding these longer-term needs. And this includes the use of our, first of course, the use of government revenue as one major aspect. And two is that we're looking at the financial markets, in particular the bond market, and how we can better tap on this bond market. And third, we're looking at how we work together with the economic agencies to see how some of this will need to be funded by users. So it's a whole combination. We have been doing various projections on our longer term needs and how best we can do this, in particular how we ensure that it is fair and equitable across different stakeholders. And because infrastructure projects by their very nature are all very long term, and therefore the beneficiaries straddle even generations. And how do we ensure intergenerational equity? So these are fairly complex issues. And at the same time, we want to make sure that we invest right. We want to make sure that the infrastructure that we are putting in place is able to meet the needs of the future. And this making sure that infrastructure that we are putting in place can make the best use of technology, including the Internet of Things and smart devices. We want to make sure that this infrastructure are green, because I think there is a need for all of us to do our part to combat climate change and to make sure that it is sustainable, sustainable both in the environmental sense as well as in the economic sense.
Okay. And finally, there's a lot of talk around changing trade, and there's the strong already Singapore and China free trade agreement, but I hear that there are plans to kind of strengthen this tie. So can you tell me some more about what you're planning to put in place for this?
Well, we're in the midst of negotiating an upgrade to the China-Singapore Free Trade Agreement, and we hope that this will be a high-standard agreement which will deepen our economic integration, both in terms of the trade in goods as well as the trade in services, and in particular in the areas of financial services. We are a very major RMB clearing center now, and in fact a number of banks from China have set up operations in Singapore. And that in turn has increased the trade flow as well as the investment flows between China and Singapore, but also between China and the region. And we hope that this agreement would allow us to deepen this further. But I would say that it is not just the need to deepen engagement within the region, not just between Singapore and China, but also within the region, China and ASEAN. And for the broader region, we are in the midst of negotiating the RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which will take the 10 countries of ASEAN, plus the 3 in the Northeast Asia, China, Japan, South Korea, and then India and Australia, New Zealand. And that would cover almost half the world's population. Now, the idea is not to, build trade blocks across different parts of the world. The idea is that we must have this, we can make use of this regional agreement to build trust and confidence that the globalization process is beneficial for all and that we can make adjustments in a progressive manner. And if we can do that, I hope that it can catalyze a broader agreements at the global level. So the regional building blocks and the bilateral trade agreements, the bilateral agreements and regional agreements are essentially building blocks for, I hope, a global agreement.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.